Hello everyone, I'm Danushka. I'm the founder of elsewhere games, and here is our new product, which is Procedural Road System. So by using this system, you can create complex road networks, vehicle AI, pedestrian AI, and pedestrian crossings. Likewise, you can basically construct a city level. Right. So I will explain all the features one by one, but as introduction, in the first session, we are going to see what's the basic project structure of our system and how you can migrate that project to your own project, and discuss about its core blueprints and components and subsystem. So this is a very important section because we follow pluggable architecture where we modularize each logic to individual components, so you can easily understand how our system works and you can easily scale it, or even you can replace those existing components with your own customized components. Okay, so there we are going to see what's the actor profile system, inventory system, and the locomotion system, because our pedestrians driven by a set of locomotion and they carry a set of inventory items. So likewise, these three elements are essential. And NPC AI system, also one of the core component that manage pedestrian AI logics, also use interface system. And we have vehicle system for both character specific component and vehicle specific component, because when the character is interacting with the vehicle, the character component will be called, and on the other hand, for the vehicle component will be used. And also weapon system is integrated, but it's not quite essential because we are following the GPTK fashion here, which is game prototyping toolkit, which was our generalized library for implement all our internal products. So that's why weapon system is there to visualize the integration of multiple different weapons. But in our scenario, since this is a procedural road network, we are not specifically targeting to implement multiple different weapons. So we have only unarmed initialized for each and every individual characters. Okay, but if you want, you can plug your own weapon system within our procedural road system as well. Right, so those are the components and subsystems. And we have manager classes, which essentially used to manage your entire level, right? So we have level manager, NPC manager, TOD manager, and weather manager. So I will go through them one by one at the example. Okay. Right. So when you freshly open up procedural road system, it would be look like this. Basically, it starts with the showcase level, and it has a single file or single directory called procedural road system, which has all the required component for the procedural constructing of procedural road system. Right. So basically, if you go into the blueprints directory, here are the components. So basically, we have subsystem directory here. So these are the components that I've been described at the slides. Also, we have one helper component, which is BPC montage helper, which essentially used to play some montage animations for your skeleton based characters. Okay, for example, like the driving animation, interaction animations, things like that. Then if you go into the blueprints managers directory, here are the blueprints that respect to maintain the global events for each and every instances, right? So for example, the level manager is essentially used to manage your entire level. So here you can see it manages roads, road intersections, vehicles, NPC list, zones, and things like that. And NPC manager is to manage the NPC AIs in your level, and TOD manager is to manage the time of the day of your level, which means daytime, nighttime, and runtime, smooth time transitions, things like that. And we have weather manager as well to control the weather controls of your level, such as sunny weather, rainy weather, or any sort of a weather condition like that. Also weather condition transitions. Right. So this is just an introduction. I will go through each and every individual component one by one in the upcoming tutorials. But just to give you an understanding, this is our structure. Okay, so likewise we have set of a folder for characters to implement the animation and blueprint logics, and we have like a dedicated folder called vehicles to implement the vehicle blueprints. So here we are simply following the vehicle sample project vehicles, but if you need to plug your own custom vehicles, you can do that also. Okay, right, so I think that's sort of like an introduction, and let's see how we can migrate this to for our own project. Okay, so I just created the sample project. So this is just a blank project, and I'm using the Unreal Engine 5.3 to create this project. So if you go to the help and about editor, yeah, here you can see I'm using 5.3.2. Okay, so make sure your project is at least equal or larger than this version number, because by default the procedural road system is being implemented on top of Unreal Engine 5.3. Okay, so you can't use lower versions, so such as 5.0, 5.1, 5.2. You can't use those engine versions. If you need to use procedural road system, it should be at least 5.3. Okay, so in this project I have nothing, basically just a blank project. So let's simply migrate our procedural road system to this project. So let's go to the procedural road system project, and this is the content directory, and let's right click on procedural road system and select migrate. Okay, so make sure everything is selected under this directory root procedural road system, and simply click OK, and you have to go to your project directory. So in my case it is actually under procedural road system tutorials project, and this is my project. Okay, so in your project the project name could be different. Anyway, go to inside of your project and make sure to select the content directory. Okay, so this is the directory that I'm going to migrate procedural road system. So let's migrate. So it will take some time, so let's wait until this finishes. Okay, so the migration is finished now. Now let's go to my project. Okay, so this is my project, and if you go to the content directory, now you can see the procedural road system is there. Okay, so let's go inside that project and let's open up maybe our showcase map. Okay, right, so now you can see it says we have some missing plugins. Okay, because in order to work this system properly, we need to enable these plugins, right? So this chaos vehicle plugin is basically used to control our vehicle blueprints. Also, this animation warping node is required. Actually, it's a plugin. Animation warping plugin is required to control some of the locomotion features that we implemented on our characters. Okay, so let's enable those missing plugins. It's not responsive. Let's give it some time to load it properly. Right, now those plugins has been enabled and it asks to restart the engine. But before restart, let's make sure all of our project settings are configured properly. So if you go to the collision section, right, so you can see there are some configurations that need to be added, because if you look into the procedural road system project settings under the collisions category, you can see we have one object channel called pedestrian crossing, and we have two trace channels called interactions and road, right? So we need these collision settings to work our road system properly. otherwise it may give some errors. Right, so let's export this one and import it on our project as well. Right, so I'll export this to our maybe under tutorials project directory, and then let's go to my project and I'll click import. So under the tutorials project directory, I should see it. Check it again. Right, I have that collision backup, so let's import it. Right, now the settings has been imported properly, but in order to see those stuff on your engine collisions category, you have to restart the engine. Okay, so let's restart. Let's wait a couple of seconds until our engine restarted. Right. Okay, I can see new plugins available section appeared. So let's go to the manage plugins and let's check whether all of our plugins are initialized properly. Right, so here you can see the chaos vehicle plugin is there, and also let's look into the animation warping. Okay, that plugin is also there. And let's check out the project settings under collisions. Okay, so you can see all of our collision profiles are there as well. Right, now what we can do is we can go to our maps and showcase level. We can open it up. Okay, so let's make a play. Right, so as you can see, our level is appearing properly without any errors, but you can't see the character or control our pawn character as usual. Right, because you have to plug our game modes and game based specific configurations on your own project properly if you want to make it work as usual. Okay, so I will show you the game base. So basically we have game mode. So essentially this game mode specify what sort of a player control that we are going to use, what sort of HUD that we are going to use, and also what sort of play. Right, so here you can see we have BP GPTK PC, which is our player controller. So if you take a look into our player controller, it would be look like this. And there we have BP camera manager, which essentially controls the camera system of procedural road system, right? Because we have the same camera pawn used for camera characters and also for camera of the vehicle, right? So we have dedicated camera manager to control both logics in a common place, right? And if you take a look into the BPGPTK HUD, so this is our HUD class. Essentially, it doesn't implement anything except this BPC user interface system. So as I mentioned you before, we are following the modular and component driven pluggable architecture, which means if you need to use your own component, you can easily remove this one and plug your own component. And also, since this is a modular, you can quickly understand our implementations and make some changes based on your requirements. Okay, so essentially in the GPTK HUD, it implements this BPC user interface system, which underline handle all the user interface related functionalities for us. Okay, so maybe you can see its implementation under here is this one, right? So you can see at the event graph, we are simply constructing what are the default UI interfaces that we require, and we set the focus on the game. And there are like set of helper functions to independently create and control the user interface elements that we require. Okay, right, and finally we have player base, which is the default pawn class, which is essentially our player character, right? So ideally now what we require is we need to make this player appear on our level. Right, so what I have to do is basically go under maps and modes, and under the default game mode, let's select that game mode, which is BP GPTKG. Right, now it has been added to here, and if I play it now, right, you can see now our player character is there, and I can go around the world like this. Okay, and essentially I would prefer implementing this BPGPTKGI as well. Basically it doesn't do anything new, it simply get the project version out of the project. Okay, anyway, if you need, you can add this game instance to your level, but in our scenario I think it's not essential to add this game instance. But in your own project, if you have a dedicated game instance, make sure it is being added under the game instance class category over here. Okay, so that's simply what our level does. So now maybe I can do some play testing. So right, so if you press tab, it appears this menu. Okay, this pause menu. So in case if you need to restart your level, you can restart it, or if you need to look into the other demo levels, you can go to the demo levels menu, and here we showcase all the relevant sample maps and levels in this project, right? So this is very essential to you because you need to understand how the system works properly. So what we have been done was we have categorized each and every individual important and functionally separable components to independent levels, and we have categorized it as follows. So one by one you can go through them and understand the core concepts of our system. Okay, so starting from the entry showcase level, it goes to time of the day example, dynamic weather, and roads, intersections, and how our road intersections works on procedural road construction environment. And then it comes to the AI logics. So initially we discuss about vehicle AIs, how vehicle AIs implement the collisions, and how those vehicles can decide to make a road transition, and how those vehicles can be spawned on runtime, things like that. Then we have another set of AI class, which is pedestrians, which means humanoid characters that go through or wandering around your level. So we have a dedicated level to showcase those pedestrians, pedestrian road transitions, and also important thing, which is pedestrian crossing, which means actually pedestrians can cross the road at runtime. They make actually a dynamic decision. Based on that, they make road transition by using these pedestrian crossings as well. Okay, so when the pedestrian crossing is activated, basically pedestrian can cross and the vehicle should be stopped at that specific point. Okay, and also we implemented set of optimization techniques that you can use with the procedural road system as well, because in the AAA context, actually when you are creating a very large level, you can't spawn all the NPC AIs or vehicles at runtime at once. Okay, so you have to perform those spawning in smart way to keep the performance of your game, right? Otherwise, if you are spawning every vehicle and every NPC on your level at once, it will be a very big performance hit and your FPS will drop drastically, and the computing resource may be even exhaustive as well. So we have implemented smart spawning mechanisms as well, which means dynamically it controls the spawnings at your level based on the player proximity and occlusion, things like that. So we will discuss all of those stuff in a separate section because this is a very important one. So I just want to give you a basic introduction about each and every individual levels. And also there is a example to visualize the road traffic with the smart spawning, so you can check that out as well. And this is another example, which is road traffic. So this is somewhat same with this one, but it essentially doesn't implement any sort of smart spawning, right? So it basically spawn all the pedestrian and all the vehicles at once. So you can see how the FPS effects on multiple different spawning mechanisms, right? And also there is a zone specific spawning, which means set of vehicles and pedestrian can be spawned in specific zones only, right? Maybe like let's just say if there is an industry zone, then industry workers is been appearing on that specific level. And maybe there is a military zone, so in that military zone, maybe like soldiers, police officers, things like that could be appear, right? So likewise, the zone specific spawning and road transitions has been implemented within this specific level. Also, we have added some buildings. Actually, these are very simple procedural buildings that you can check out to visualize actually how you can implement your own building system on top of our road system to construct a better city level. Also, as I explained before, we have time of the day transitions. So we have two different levels to showcase procedural city with the daytime and procedural city with nighttime. So you can see how those stuff works on multiple different time of the day. Also, we have weather transitions. So in the weather transitions, actually, we created a city sample level with rainy weather, because essentially in the rainy weather, the water puddles will be appear on the level and the surface wetness will be increased. And after the rain, maybe there could be sunny weather, and when the sunny weather is there, those puddles and surface wetness will be slowly disappear. Okay, so you can check those stuff out on this level, and maybe in a separate session I will show you how these stuff work at runtime. And finally, we have the procedural city with all dynamics, which means a complete sample level with all of those individual subsystems and managers at the runtime. So you can see how those stuff work on the actual gameplay, right? So maybe let's go to this procedural city all dynamics and I'll show you the system on runtime. Okay, so let's load the level. Right, so you can see the pedestrians are walking around the level and the vehicles are moving. Also, you can see the time of the day is changing. So now it's night time and the moon is appeared. Also, you can see the sudden rain has been started and there are raining and thundering. Also, you can see the surface wetness of the road has been increased and some water puddles are there. Also, now you can see after the rain is over, those puddles and the surface wetness has been disappeared. Also, you can see the pedestrian crossings are there, right? And some pedestrians can cross the road. Right. So this is the level. And maybe I can show you how the object interaction works. So basically there is a vehicle. So you can enter to that vehicle and maybe wander around the level. Okay. Okay, so that's a quick preview of the levels. So you can explore it further to see each and every individual levels one by one. Okay, so in the next session, I'll show you how we can implement a proper road network as freshly in your level. So I'll see you there. Thank you.